Court Samsung doesn't need to update older smartphones. The biggest problem of Android is its policy of updates, which most brands prefer to ignore. This means that the equipment quickly stops being protected against the latest security threats and, at the same time, they do not have access to the legends of latest updates. In an attempt to counter this, a Dutch consumer advocacy group took the South Korean giant Samsung to court in 2016. The decision came now and was favorable to the South Korean giant Samsung. The lawsuit Consumentenbond, a Dutch consumer group, raised against the South Korean giant Samsung and sought to force the company to upgrade its equipment, thus fulfilling its 2-year commitment. The court's ruling was now known and weighed in favor of the South Korean giant Samsung, not forcing it to have to make any further updates. According to statements from the South Korean giant Samsung, this is a fair decision and shows the commitment of Samsung in these updates. We are satisfied with the decision. The judge acknowledged that Samsung is doing more than enough to ensure the safety of its products. It is a shame that the judicial course followed by the Consumentenbond has unfairly cast a negative light on our policy of updates, as the judge's decision shows that we take the security of the smartphones we provide to consumers very seriously. The lawsuit had been initiated in January 2016 after a Consumentenbond study concluded that in the Netherlands 82% of the Samsung devices evaluated did not have the latest version of Android that was released during the 2 years after the purchase. It was further advanced that by not complying with this rule, these devices were exposed to problems and other failures. At the time, Samsung argued that its equipment received the necessary updates, but revealed that the lower range equipment would not be covered by these new security patches. On the Consumentenbond side, this decision turns out to be unfair. It claims that Samsung puts many pieces of equipment on the market by its own accord, and that is why it must keep them up to date and with all necessary security patches. Samsung chooses to bring many models to the market and no one forces them to do so. An automaker must also ensure that all its models are safe and reliable and that they remain so. Samsung has the same obligation. Failing to prove that Samsung did not make the necessary security updates, Consumentenbond would lose the process and fail to set a major precedent in Europe, which could lead to Samsung having to make the necessary updates for its products and equipment.